Hi, I've posted a video before on this Awakening TV, and I wanted to do another follow-up thing. Um, it's for your entertainment only, or whatever you want to call it. But I've told my story before. I've written about it. It's been online. I don't write books, but I've pretty much been saying a few things that are pretty much out there. And what you're going to hear from me, you're not going to hear it from anybody else. You've never heard this from anywhere else. And so I'm going to expound on that a little bit more in 15 minutes and post this up to the awakening. And yeah, this is going to be completely different. But what I'm going to touch on is I'm going to explain Isaiah 53 to you and then the Daniel 70th week thing. So if you're not really into the Bible stuff or the Hebrew prophet stuff, you might want to skip this whole thing because it has a lot to do with identifying that and putting this whole thing together. I believe that we're passing into the next age, and these things, they have to come together, and I know how they're coming together. And so what I'm sharing is what I've gained from my knowledge, from my awakening that started about 3.5 years ago, an explosive awakening. And I've been detailing this on my Facebook page for a long time, and it's nothing new. But for the most part, people reject me, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that because what I'm saying is confounding everybody, and it's insulting to a lot of people. I get it, but I'm still going to tell you what I know. And if you don't like what I know, then just move on, go on to something else. But what I think I know is may help you, and I have the keys that might help you in your own spiritual progression. And I'm not really out here doing this for myself. I'm not writing books. I'm not making money off this. And I don't really want to start another career of saving the world. I was actually fine just intending to live out my life, married, and just, the usual thing, retiring and everything else. But I do have a knowledge that it's off the charts, and I need to share it, and no matter how, I'm going to share it to you. And with this awakening thing, this TV, I don't really have to jump through a hell of a lot of hoops. I got a computer, I got a web camera, and I can teach you through this, anybody that wants to learn. So sit down and listen to me for 15 minutes. I'm going to try to cram a lot of shit into 15 minutes, and if I can't get it in, then I'm going to post another one. But I'm going to try to do what I can today and just get it posted on this awakening thing. And then at least it's out there. You can do with it whatever you want, but I've been saying things that have been completely off the charts. And I think I have a reason to say these things. And you might call me delusional, you call me whatever you want. But the things that I'm putting together, I understand the Hebrew prophets, and I understand even astrology. Even astrology is making sense to me now, to where I understand it and I can explain it to you. And there's all kinds of things. So Revelation, the book of Revelation, I've been exploding with that because it's just like, it's opening up to me like a comic book, and I've been saying that already, and I've already said it in my last video. I'm not going to go back and I probably will repeat things you've already heard because I'm getting old and I forget what I say. But if I go off track, you'll understand. But here it is, the Isaiah 53. It's a description of the many lives of the Son of Man, put it that way. It's not just Jesus, but it's also my life. And I'm telling you just straight out that that's an exact description of my life. And this was done to me, this was preordained to me to be born into a family where my mother would just totally reject me. And you know, broke my arm, and there's violence from when I was weeks old. And I've talked about all this before, and a matter of fact, for years I talked about it from the stage, and I would share my stories about people, but not to get people to cry with me or sob with me or anything like that, but to try to comfort people that have gone through the same thing. So that's really where I'm coming from. It's not from, trying to get you to pity me or that like that. And I don't even like talking about myself, but it's necessary for you to understand that I do fulfill the Isaiah 53 thing to a T, because my mother rejected me from birth, and she rejected me completely through her entire life, and she just passed away a couple months ago. And even still, the rejection was complete from her. My dad divorced her for extreme cruelty, and these are stories that I've all said before. My dad divorced for extreme cruelty when I was 5 or 6, and so that part of it is all well documented. All this stuff is well documented. My dad married a stepmother, and I was basically forced out of that family by my family, and my siblings as well were okay with me being forced out of the family. So they basically made me ward the court, and I was made sent into juvenile prison. Anyway, long story short, I had a really messed up childhood that fulfills the rejection thing. And just not just that, but there were other things also that were laid on me as a child. I mean, again, more pity story, but you know, even without all the family problems, I also had been was struck with this horrible thing of acne, and my whole face was like a pizza for when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, during those years. So I got a lot of rejection stuff from them growing up. I didn't really have friends. I didn't try to make friends actually, and that's part of the reason why uh, 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 I do come from a very rejected place, and I don't have friends. I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not trying to get you to be my friend either. You know, I pretty much am isolated completely, alone. Not completely alone. I've got family on. Got my two kids, and I've got a beautiful grandson, and them I enjoy. And that part is the Isaiah thing, and that wouldn't have been fulfilled had it not been for the prophecy that I have to fulfill in order for this thing to be done. These things were laid on me so that I could come out and tell you about how my life has been since I've been born, and because I've been like that tree. In Isaiah, it talks about a plant that's been planted and watered by God, by the divine, and this is a special plant, and he's describing how he's related to me, but not just me, to the Son of Man. He was also the way that he related to Jesus, and Jesus also had the same relationship. So what I'm describing to you is exactly the same thing that I believe that Jesus went through. I'm going through the same process that Jesus went through with uh, this divine interplay that's been a part of my life, my whole life. It started when I was 4. My earliest memories were when I was 4 and having prophetic dreams and things like that. But I always had this deep relationship with the divine that has never gone away in all my years. It's been nearly non-existent, and for many years, and especially during my marriage, it was non-existent. But it's exploded in the last 3.5 years, and with that explosion, and it came out of the blue. And I've told this story for the last 3 years. I've been using my Facebook as a diary, and because I've been using my Facebook as a diary and exploding and telling these stories about my own experiences, and they're true, people have just been absolutely rejecting me and absolutely rejecting what I'm saying to you. And I get it, because I'm insulting every religion out there. I'm insulting the Christians for sure, because I'm well, I'm reading Revelations now like a child, and now it's showing me what I believe it's showing me is that Christianity itself is a false image, and that is the false image. That is the Antichrist right there, and all of Christianity is what's going in that lake of fire. And so I'm trying to spread this knowledge and say that what I see in Revelations is our roadmap into the next age. And so and in me recording this video, it's all part of me doing what I need to do to get the information out there of where we are going. Because this whole thing is going to be consolidated within the whole Jewish thing. These prophecies are going to come to pass. And the reason why they are, it's not because the Jewish faith is necessarily right either. It's grown into this huge monstrosity too. And the prophecies, and I can't remember where they were, but they talk about the Jews. They talk about the prophecy. One prophecy is about out of Israel, out of stump of Israel, something new will be born. Something like that. Excuse me, but it's something like that. And that's exactly what's going to be happening. Those out of those myths were truths. And what I'm saying to you is that the Son of Man, that Isaiah 53 guy, is Adam. It's always been Adam. It's me. And this thing with the sin thing, it's always been about my progression, not yours, mine, and my evolving. I've had to overcome the ego. I have an ego that I've also had to overcome, and it's been a bitch. I'm telling you, it's been a bitch. But and here's the other thing. If you need more proof about who I am, go look at my natal chart. And I've posted this before, and I think it's because it literally, I am, in Revelations, is the guy on the white horse, and he's been given a bow, right? And so this bow is this shape of my natal chart. It literally is. And so if you want to see my natal chart, just go to anywhere, one of those places, and type in the natal chart, my birth date. It's August 10th, 1955. I was born at 3:33 p.m., and that's in Santa Ana. Go ahead and type that in, and you'll see a picture of my bow. And you'll see two bows. But if you just look at the inner planets, which is the ones that they looked at in those days, they all tell a very significant story of my struggles and my strengths. And I have all these conjunctions, but I also have all these squares. And it's true that in my life, I have had extreme difficulties and extreme strength through this inner strength that I've had since I was a child. So they're both there. When I was 16 or 17, at 16, I committed a really simple crime of trying to forged a $20 traveler's check. I got convicted using phony ID because I was already on the run for being, I think at that time I don't remember. As a teenager, I was constantly in and out of jail. I was constantly escaping as much as I could because I was either there or I was in jail. So at this particular time, when I was 16, I had forged that traveler's check, and was using phony ID that made me look like I was 19. Well, got convicted for that $20 traveler's check, and they gave me 5 years in prison. I escaped. That was when I had a very profound and most experience, and not coincidentally, right in that time period of right around my birthdays, but it was also right on that period of the what's it called, the Lions Lair Gate or something, Lions Gate, something like that. In that period, I know exactly the date it was because it was very memorable because it was right before my birthday, and so that it started a chain of events, and I ended up escaping from jail. That's been kind of like my hallmark story that I've been telling for years. And years later, I became famous in Hong Kong playing in a band, and and I would just tell my story from the stage, and people would, every time we played in charity things like schools and prisons, things like that, which we did a lot of. I would tell my story. So this isn't anything new, and all I'm doing is trying to describe to you and tell to you that yeah, I'm the guy in Isaiah 53. And as far as tying it in with Daniel, the Daniel 70 weeks actually started with the Ottoman Empire when they came in. That started that timetable of the 70 weeks. And they came in around 1500 something, and then they were ousted out around 1900 something. If you look at it and count up the times, they go up to about 1948 or 1950 or so. It's right around there when they got liberated and became a nation. And that's the 63 weeks. The 7 weeks are the period from when they recaptured Jerusalem in 67 or 68, and that's basically the 50 years up till now. And so you've already fulfilled those 77s, and right now I believe we've started the last 7 years with that, what you've seen in Revelation is the expansion of that time, and it started with that cosmic thing called the Virgin sign. And if you want to look that up, there's tons of information on that. The sign of the Virgin happened in September of 2017, something like that. So anyway, look all that stuff up, and that'll tell you that where we're at. But as far as this, my knowledge, what is going to save the world, isn't is my knowledge. I am that prince from the country that's coming to destroy Israel, because this is a God that's coming to destroy them. They want to assimilate Christianity into Judaism. Don't do it. It's the wrong. It's a false image, and that's the whole point of it. The Islam and Christianity are both those two beasts that come up in Revelation. That over the overview, those were the two beasts that came up that needed to be rejected, and you have rejected them. You've done well. Israel didn't. They didn't. Revelation is all about the vindication of the Jewish people. Not just that, though. The vindication of all of us. No, we didn't have to take that mark. We don't have to believe that. And what you're experiencing and coming into your higher selves and stuff is a result of me overcoming. Because it's me that's been the lamb that overcame. I've overcome a lot of shit in my life. And I still love. And I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. And the reason why is because it's divine nature that lives inside of me. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to teach you the way to come into this divine nature. And it's actually a meditation technique. Jesus was teaching a meditation technique where you focus your entire love on the divine. And he was portraying or giving you a picture of the divine love. And through his image that he's given you of that Father, you fall in love with him. And so I'm giving you the same thing. I'm giving you a Father you can fall in love with. My 15 minutes are over. I gotta go. So this is where I'm going. I'll post another one as I can. Bye.